Okay, everybody, welcome to episode number 49. Welcome to the Daily Closing. This tie
all kinds of
was
cute.
purchased in France.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
what
there's
is
a lot
it?
of
Episode
symbolism.
what? I hijacked
49 Daily Closing. Yes,
Coming on 50 soon.
we one of those castles or one of those places is where this was purchased, and the little symbol that you see here is the saintly. As a matter of fact, if you look at the New Orleans Saints, that's their
That's right.
symbol, as a matter of fact. So nothing to do with football.
It's a
It's
flower.
a whole different story. Correct. What we believe was the most influential voices, and we're only going to address the top, could be either the top 30 or the top 7, because everybody ended up choosing their own 10, right? Everybody went to their own little corner. You choose your 10, you choose your 10. I ended up choosing 10 and a half or 11 and a half. So I cheated a little bit.
I know for a fact that there are like 3 that nobody has.
But good. I'm glad to hear that. You know what I mean? And again, we're talking about 2023. We're not talking about 10 years ago, 100 years ago,
Correct.
or the greatest voices ever. We're just talking about this 2023 that is now ending. Obviously, had some very interesting moments, very interesting voices, very very interesting people they came across for so many different reasons, right? But I'm dying to see what your perspective. By the way, going into this conversation, just think about some of the voices that caught your attention that you were saying, man, that was either meaningful or that was crazy. Whatever the case happens to be for every person, we have different reasons for this choice. So, who wants to open it up? Who wants to go first to see about that?
Let's go. So
Okay.
my number 10, right? Because we started with number 10. Is actually you guys are gonna laugh. It's actually Shakira.
Shakira.
Yes, Shakira.
That's a phenomenal choice.
Yes, that is my number 10.
It's a
But
very likable
it's because
choice.
she is a 10, and also
Definitely.
no, but it's her and her heartbreak actually ended up turning
transition.
into a movement, right? She ended up, by the way, talk about taxes, talk about a bunch of stuff. Like we spoke about Shakira like 3-4 times during the year for different reasons. She became number 1 artist as well as
Correct.
far as in Latin America. And she created a whole movement. I mean, everybody told her not to do certain things, and the music that she actually created, that everybody told her, don't do that, it's terrible. It was actually what did the best.
Great choice.
So yeah, I mean, phenomenal. Shout out to Shakira for that. And also, my wife loves Shakira, so it's like I asked for her input, and she's like,
I love Shakira.
let's
I'm good
do
with that
Shakira.
choice.
So it's like, that's number 10. That's for sure.
Incredible mental toughness, incredible.
No,
mental man, so
phenomenal.
did very well. Yeah.
For me, before I even go into it, I don't like a lot of the people on my list, but they do happen to be the most influential people. But my number 10 is actually a musician as well. It is Doja Cat.
Oh.
Doja Cat. Why? Because I cannot stand her, but every time I turn on the radio, I hear her, and I feel like she's.
But do you like her music, or
No.
what is it you don't
I
stand?
don't,
You don't
no,
like
I
her
don't like her
music?
music, but I can't get it out of my head. It's like it's one of those things where like you ever have a song that you hate, but you keep singing it.
Got
That's what Doja Cat has become. I don't know how she got so famous. I really don't know how it happened, but it happened, and I think she's influencing way more of the younger generation than we think, So I always pay attention to any big artist, whether I like them or not.
Yeah.
So I pay attention to her as far as she's moving up very, very fast. So I think for this year, outside of the musicians that we all know of, like people who've been around, I think she's probably the newest artist who's had the biggest jump, in her career. And music to me is one of the most influential things, that we have. So she's number 10.
Well, for my number 10, I'm actually going international because this man is part of a movement. And I see it right there. Like I see so many changes taking place in different countries, not only Latin America, but happy to see it happening in Latin America just because Latin America fell victim from, the whole liberation theology, the Fidel Castro's, the Che Guevara's, the socialist movement that has gotten all the way up to even, the papacy or current pope. It's somebody that grew up under that generation, but also from Argentina. Javier Milei, recently elected president of Argentina. The guy, to be quite honest with you, the jury's still out. You know what I mean? But as far as
no,
the clarity, like this is a guy that whether you like it or not, you know what I mean, has been very honest about his message. You know what I mean? We don't have the money to spend the way we're spending. We got to start borrowing. It's just not feasible. We got to concentrate on the things that we need to do to create opportunities for people, real opportunity, not dependency, but creating possibilities. The message has been obviously very much welcome. Had a overwhelming result. You know what I mean? He really did very well on that election. Also, you know what I mean? You're already seeing a lot of people that are reacting that the political machine that has always been there, part of the overall structure, is already doing everything they can to sabotage the process. I know that he's very clear about what happened to Donald Trump, so I'm sure he's going to do the best that he can to control that. But I'm looking forward to see what's going to come out of it. But I do salute him for everything that took place out of Argentina and for becoming the president of Argentina. So congratulations, Mr. Milei.
Yeah, awesome. Number 9, I actually have, and by the way, I have it in showbiz, politics, and things that trickle down to politics, and then people that turn, I think, humanity or the country for the worse. And I will say Zelensky. Unfortunately, we spent all freaking years speaking about this guy. So that's my number 9, and that whole Russia-Ukraine war. This guy begging for money, asking for money, getting the money. And
so what happened with this is they're going to be the potential new Winston Churchill.
What? No, it's like... It's like the only thing that I see when I see this guy is this. I swear to God, I don't think since he came out, it's just been...
well, we're doing a great
terrible
job securing his borders.
Yeah,
but,
no kidding. Yeah, we are. Talk about lack of focus for us. So for me, it was a big impact. So the Russia-Ukraine war and Zelensky.
I mean, in all fairness, though, the way the whole thing broke out and the whole thing, the way that this whole thing opened up immediately, I think it was an overwhelming...
$300 billion, basically.
But it was, I'm not just talking about the money, the overwhelming support from everybody, not only politicians, other countries, but also people in general.
People don't have the American flag in their house, but they will have the Ukraine flag, like, waving around just out of support. It's just insane.
That's weird.
But I think that's the way the whole thing started. It felt like it was so much of an it literally, for a moment, it went from, like, it appeared to be extremely clear that it was a good guy against a bad guy. And it appeared that everybody was 1,000% clear that the bad guy was Vladimir Putin, Russia, and that the good guy was Zelensky with Ukraine. Right now, it's very difficult to tell who is the bad guy in this whole situation. But anyway, all right, that was an interesting choice. Also going international, right?
Number 9 is Andrew Tate.
Got it.
Andrew Tate, number 9. I think, once again, it's not like I'm a super fan of his, but I just think he's made a big impact as far as what's been going on with social media, about what's allowed to be done or not be done, getting banned and things like that, So, like I said, I agree with some of what he says, not all of what he says, but I think he is somebody who a lot of people pay attention to, definitely in the last, year and a half, I would say. So he's number 9 on my list.
I think that, I looked into just about everything he had said and put forward, according to what I was able to stomach also, And there is nothing that he had put forward that I couldn't find it somewhere else through other people, other ideas. Now, how he went about putting it forward, and the fact that a lot of his way of approaching things ended up exposing a lot of the social media outlets, and the ability to control the narrative out there was probably the only thing that I will say was an incredible contribution. But I can definitely do without Andrew Tate moving forward. For me, I'm staying international, guys, and I'm staying in Latin America when it comes to international. And don't get nervous. It's not going to be...
No, it's Bukele.
It's not going to be Maduro. It's going to be, Nayib Bukele. Nayib Bukele, just because if you wanted a blueprint or what you can actually do with the country, coordinating your ability to minimize the level of corruption that is killing every single one of those Latin American countries, and at the same time to use the tools that you have, which is the armed forces, the National Guard, the actual police, and by the way, you have to purge them out of every corrupt individual that already infiltrated those things. But instead of just making it also the bad guy, which also a lot of politicians have done, give them their proper place. You know what I mean? You are essentially one of the most foundational needed tools for law and order, for justice to prevail. You are the good guys. I'm going to make sure that everybody understands that the job that you're doing. So I will tell you, if I was a police officer from New York, I would love to be able to get the kind of support that the police and the army gets from Nayib Bukele as a president. There's a clear moral vision, position, and then when it comes to the economy, first of all, when it comes to crime, this country was if not one of the most, if not first or second most dangerous country on the planet. You're talking about competing with places like Afghanistan and Iraq and you know what I mean? Like those places are a war and they have terrorists. You know what I mean? This is how bad it was. To turn it into one of the safest destinations to go to, one of the best places to invest. You know what I mean? If you were thinking about which country would be a good idea, for the first time, even making it into the list of great places for potential retirement, like for people that are saying, hey, if I got to go retire somewhere else, where would I go? So running for his second turn, a little bit of controversy as to whether or not that was allowed, the Constitution was accommodated. I think that was a great choice. I salute the Salvadorian people for having also the moral clarity to say this is good for our country. Let's go for it. Let's make it happen. And I think he's not going to have an issue getting reelected. And again, I hope that this is a guy that for the first time I said there is a possibility here of uniting Central America. The what used to be the 5 countries, which now is 7 because it includes Panama and Belize. And so, unfortunately, there's way too much corruption around it. But if there was ever a possibility, he even actually made mention it in one of his videos.
Like La Gran Colombia.
Guys, immediately Central America goes from all these little countries to becoming the 6th largest economy in the world. And also the most important place. We have contact with the Pacific Ocean, with the Atlantic Ocean. We already have one canal, potentially a second one coming up. That will be connected, talking about from commerce to natural resources. That would be like an incredible thing to happen if it happens, but who knows? But we just definitely, I think this guy cannot be outside of a top 10 for, I don't care who you are, you know what I mean, making a list. But
yes, I couldn't pick, so I had to get a couple of people out, and I wanted to make sure that I had also some fun. So for me, number 8, right? We're number 8.
Yes.
And number 8 because it's my favorite number, even though it's not his number. Honestly, Messi. Messi is a person of influence. Yes, he won the World Cup. He won the World Cup back in 2022. It was at the end of the year. But he decided to make the move to Florida, right? Could have gone anywhere else, right? Even
Correct.
he had a bigger contract being thrown at him.
Then Ronaldo's.
What is it, Saudi Arabia?
Correct.
And he ended up coming to the state of Florida wearing all pink. There's the Messi experience that, buying a house right next to RCO Patrick Bet-David. It's just phenomenal what this guy has been doing. For me, he lifted the spirit of an entire country, a country that have been going through hell. And in accordance to even what you chose as your number 10, which is the current president, I think the winning spirit of this country came back because of Messi. Thinking about what they were going through with inflation, and all of those different things. So for me, that one was, that's my number 8.
A no-brainer.
Yeah.
Right?
I like it. So mine is the Biden family. I wanted to just put Hunter alone, but you can't have one without the
But
other.
the corruption is being extended
correct.
to the rest of the
Correct, to
family.
the rest
Is
of
what
the
you're
family.
saying?
Yes, but it was really Hunter alone.
Why
but,
did you
but
make the choice of the Biden family or the or
because
Hunter like this?
there's so much going on. Obviously, because one is president, so
Correct,
obviously
right.
we're paying attention to what's going on,
Yes.
with but obviously there's a lot of crazy things going on with the whole family, specifically with Hunter, so this is something that anything that's bringing in a lot of eyes, but then also will make an impact on like our life, that's something to me that's, I would consider that, influential. Now, it's not always good, but it is something that's making a huge impact. So, like I said, I'm not necessarily happy about the family, but to me, I think they're one of the people who most people are paying attention to the most.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can see it, I understand it, and whether we like it or not, yeah, definitely influential voices.
Yes.
My number 8 is actually, I'm going into sports also, but from a different route. Dana White. I think that, again, you're talking about a guy that comes out of nothing. I mean, I think his own personal story. It's a great, remarkable story. But here's the and forget about how much he's supporting Donald Trump or supporting certain things. Here's a guy whose number one reason for supporting Donald Trump has absolutely nothing to do with politics. So at least that's not the main reason. It's all about loyalty. This is a guy that says, when I was nobody, when the UFC was nothing to no one, the one person that opened their doors for us, he said, I'm not going to say that there would be no UFC. He said, but it's pretty close to that. So he's like, so for anybody to think that I'm going to walk away from this man, then you don't know me, you don't understand how I operate. I have nothing but respect by the fact that he has become extremely influential in when it comes to sports. Obviously, a controversial individual. Listen, I don't know that there's a single person that we're gonna name here that doesn't bring some level of controversy, right? But as far as what he continues to do for the sport, I think is phenomenal. Just putting the sport itself on the map. And then again, the
What a
relationship that he has,
That is
building something out of nothingness, turning into a multi-billion dollar industry, not just entity. You know what I mean? And so for that reason, I think it's impossible. His position about, again, a position with Donald Trump in politics is based on loyalty, which is a rare thing to see.
In politics?
On both sides, you know what I mean? Because listen, business-wise, it costed a few people advertising with them.
Yeah.
And he said it was a price that he was willing to pay. He's like, I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care. You know what I mean? This is because at the end of the day, that would be one thing that regardless of who becomes the next president, moments like this with people like this will be extremely respected and definitely a lesson to learn. Position is clear. It's a clear moral business position. Love the whole thing with this guy.
Yeah, it's so rare. Awesome.
Yeah.
Number 7 is actually somebody that we don't know, we don't see. Most people don't know, most people don't see, but he is everywhere. And he's having a lot of influence right now, and the amount of influence that he's going to have next year is going to be even bigger. And it's Soros.
Okay.
George Soros is scary, talking about judges that are being appointed, that are being elected. A lot of money was thrown, and we are feeling it. Right now as a country with some of the things that are happening in different cities like New York. And there's a lot of organizations also that are being funded by him. So it's kind of scary. So talking about turning the country for the worse is number 7 for me is George Soros.
So my number 7 brings our list down to 29 because it's the first
agree
overlap.
on it?
Yeah. So it's actually it's not just Dana White for me. It's the UFC. Got it. Dana White, Joe Rogan, and what the whole UFC represents. So it's kind of a little bit of a cheating. But it's really all of that put together. Also, one of the biggest things that I realize is Dana has been an innovator, obviously from the beginning. But it's very rare when you see somebody bring in something brand new.
Correct.
And even though he didn't start it, but I mean, like, UFC before Dana, no one knew what it was.
No, right.
But then now it's
right.
like the world has become like the most popular sport today.
That was
Yeah.
not a reality then
Right?
until
But then here's another thing. How do you make a whole new sport to where now they got this slap competition that if you haven't seen, it's the worst and funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. But it's becoming like the biggest thing ever now. He bought that as well, so then now that's becoming like a whole new thing. It's like, so it's one thing to like,
What do you do? I'm a boxer. What do you do?
I'm a slapper.
I'm a slapper.
but it's
I don't
crazy.
know, yeah.
Have you never seen it? I'm telling you, watch it.
I saw it once.
It's
got knocked
No,
out.
It's
I-
like
I did.
who would think to do this?
I
But
did
either
my
way,
neurons.
I don't know how you make or invest in something that's brand new and it still becomes one of the biggest things going on. So yeah. So for me, it's that whole.
Fair
bubble.
enough.
Good time, spring week, man. We went to slapping
Yeah.
competition. That's
It's-
funny.
it's
From
violent.
It's a lot
boxing
of
to slapping.
anticipation.
But, number 7 is a guy that has been like literally growing and brewing, and I think there's going to continue to be a significant player out there. That's Charlie Kirk. And I seen this man. It's not even so much his podcast or his general message, but his ability to get a lot of important voices under one roof. And you can see how this went from like 200 people to 500 people to 1,000 to 3,000 to 5,000 people. The last event, they had 15,000 people under one roof. Just about anybody who's anybody out there when it comes to a voice for the either Republican or conservative movement. So this is a guy that is going to be around, and whenever he decides that he wants to choose jumping into the political arena, he's going to have an immediate following to, meaning the possibility of getting elected. But I think he's pretty much happy doing what he's doing out there. So Charlie Kirk, somebody to keep an eye on, already well known, but I don't know if he's known enough, you know what I mean, in terms of his ability to be a player. And for me, the one guy that has the ability to put a lot of great voices and
that
brains
AM Fest
on the
was
one roof, you know what I mean? US Point, Turning Point USA is a movement at this point. So definitely a guy to keep an eye on.
Yep. So for me, number 6 is actually the U.S. border and the caravans. And the reason being is because, from the beginning of the year, we were talking about transporting immigrants all across the country. It started with Texas and Florida. This guy sending people to Martha's Vineyard. New York going from a sanctuary state to don't come here. There's a movement right now. There's a couple of people that are becoming influencers. And what they do is they literally, they said, I'm making more money crossing the border and documenting the experience than actually working in the U.S. So they cross it, they document the whole thing, and they go right back and do it again. So it's become a little bit of a joke.
Can you understand that?
Yeah.
Like guys, I mean, I have to share this with you because when I came in from Matamoros into Brownsville, Texas, there was a refugee home in Brownsville. And one of the guys that was there was Mexican, who in reality, you were not supposed to, if you were Mexican, you couldn't be part of that. It was supposed to be for individuals from Central America. And he just didn't like the way American cigarettes taste. So he would literally go back into Mexico, grab cigarettes from Mexico, and cross the border again and spend another week or so in that refugee camp until he ran out of cigarettes. And I'm like, bro, why don't you just keep moving forward? So I guess the cigarettes were a big issue. But just as you're saying, how easy it is. Somebody went and documented the whole process and went back again to document the whole process again.
Marvin, they're getting sponsorships. They're getting all kinds of crazy ass
Come on.
things. Like it's on
What are we
Instagram,
doing?
it's
Come
a
on,
TikTok
let's
thing.
let's go, guys. Let's do it.
Oh my God. So there's that.
That's
And honestly, it just feels like it's getting bigger and bigger. And the one thing that I'm grateful for with this whole thing is that more people across the country are talking about it. How much is gonna happen at the ballot is yet to be seen. But the fact that mayors of different cities are like, whoa, 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 we gotta get this thing under control. That's why I put it at number 6.
How much of a conversation for the average person it still is, it's remarkable to see how people are just still fully disconnected about that stuff. But then again, they disconnected with so many other things.
That's true.
Well,
what do you got?
Mike's circle, then a couple of us talk about it.
Yeah.
What number are we on?
6.
We're number 6.
Number 6. Oh, so for my number 6, it was messy, but it was bigger than messy. It was really like the city of Miami. I feel like Miami as a whole is just I feel like they got him, not so much. He went there. You get what I'm saying? Also, now Formula One is there. So it's a lot of big things going on with just all of Miami. So it's more so Miami than Messi, but a big part of that was them getting him. So city of Miami. Shout out to what they're doing. I feel like they're making a move.
Very often people talk about the perfect storm, but referring to something negative. You know what I mean? I think that this whole situation with Messi, where Miami happens to be as a city, all the companies and the money that's going into that city right now, and all the sports also that are going into that city, the timing couldn't. Talking about a perfect storm,
Correct.
but in the right way.
Miami is gonna probably be one of the number 1 cities in the country if they're not already like real soon.
Yeah, number 6. I'm absolutely. I'm gonna stick to it just because, in reality, is probably one of the only female voices that I decided to name, and this is Candace Owens. You know what I mean? I think that this is somebody that one way or the other. You know what it is to get hammered from every possible direction. Here you have somebody who's female being attacked for her positions as a female. She's black. She's being attacked for her position. You're talking about, how do you handle? Can I ask you a question? How do you handle getting accused of being a racist to another black individual? Right? It's like at some point I said, "Are you looking at me?" Or it's like me being attacked for being anti-immigrant. And it's like, I can't even say it properly. Don't you see that? Like what? I don't understand those things when it comes to. But she's there. She also just had a very public recent episode with Ben Shapiro. You know what I mean? And but I give it a lot of credit. She's going to places and having conversations that are definitely not popular. Guys, the type of conversations that really require courage, right? And I see her as somebody of great courage. I hope she can, stay the course. You know what I mean? I think it's a very important voice. It was for 2023. I hope she continued to go in that route. So Daily Wire in general.
Number 5.
And hopefully many of these top 30 most influential voices of 2023 will have something to do
want to know
with
which ones are
helping
yours.
control.
Correct.
I'm dying to see, how
give us
many
your
of
top
this,
10.
what would be your top 10. Let us know of who made it here, anybody that you will qualified or disqualified. Obviously, from our perspective, there's a lot of people that didn't make it here, you know what I mean? But,
it was tough to put 10.
It's tough, it really is, because thank God we have a lot of meaningful voices out there. So with that being said, guys, pass it around and ask your friends and family to see if they have their top 10 to choose from. This would be an interesting conversation for Christmas. But anyway, if
Merry
we don't,
Christmas!
Exactly. If you don't hear from us, we wish you nothing but
now it's okay to say it.
3
weeks ago,
I really don't
close
care.
enough. Is that what you're saying?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You guys will
None of
celebrate
this happy
Christmas
holiday stuff. It's Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas
from
to you and
what
your
was
family.
it, 10 years ago, but yes. Merry
From
Christmas.
our family to
Yes,
yours,
absolutely.
have a great celebration.
Peace.
Take care. Bye-bye.